Suns fans, you know what time it is in the PHX.
Empire of the Suns.
Phoenix Suns.
Empire of the Suns.
Hello there, and welcome to the Empire of the Suns podcast. My name is Kellen Olson, joined as always by Kevin Zimmerman. Kellen, don't curse. Kellen, don't curse. You're on live YouTube. Hey, Kevin.
It's live. Don't curse.
Don't curse. I don't think. Have you ever had to cut me cursing out before? I don't think so, right?
It's possible once.
8 years. That's
Possible.
a pretty good record. Pretty good record over 8
yeah.
years. That's pretty good. I don't think it's happened. Let's try not to do it while we're
Don't
live.
do
Let's
it.
try not to do it. The Phoenix Suns have a new basketball player. It is Ryan Dunn, the wing out of Virginia, as anticipated, as highly speculated by not only us, but a whole lot of other people. The Suns traded down. They moved down from pick 22 to pick 28. Denver moves up to get Durant, who it was reported that they had promised, and it feels like they couldn't wait until 28 to see if he was going to be there. They move up to 22. In exchange, the Suns get the 56th pick in this draft, and then they get 2 more second-rounders. They get a second-rounder in 2026, which Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray still around. Denver's probably still going to be winning 50-plus games. That's probably going to be in the 50s still, but you get 1 in 2031. And just more importantly, you replenish your pick stock just a little bit. So now with that 2028 second rounder from Boston, you now have 3 future second round picks to deal. So if a Royce O'Neal light version of that type of trade comes around, you now have some slight ammunition to work with. So there's the trade, and then there is selecting Dunn. I think they kind of go together from a value perspective. But what do you make of this night for the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of best of both worlds. I think ESPN late, maybe last few days, put Ryan Dunn there. He was part of Gambo's 5, which was Gambo always picks 5 guys from his kind of sourced guessing, but like doing his homework on it. And I think we all kind of looked at it and said, look, a lot of the guys that even that we just liked with the Suns fell. Tyler Kolek fell. Isaiah Collier was another one who fell.
29. He went all the way to 29, yeah.
Yeah. So there was...
Furphy didn't even get picked.
Furphy didn't get picked,
Yeah.
So I think it's good, and I said this out loud during the draft, like, it's good the Suns kind of read, and maybe they were doing the research and knew how it was going to fall, but they read the board the same way other teams did, and they like took the risk of like, hey, we know we can get a good player that we like, and we don't need to stick at 22 and just take him because he's there. So it's not a reach. Like I was talking about reaching. Like I was like, okay, if Tyler Kolek's there, fine, reach. But now you get the picks, and I think that's the big thing. 56 is going to be interesting. We're going to put together a list on the site. There could be some good, 4 or 5 year college guys. We'll get into that tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, with Dunn, we'll get into that now. What do you think about him? Because obviously, Jay Billis said it. He's probably the best defender overall in the draft. Maybe Alex Sarr has that case, but there's a reason he fell that far to 28.
Yeah, to briefly go back to where you're talking about 28, I think important things for us to establish if you've been listening before. Tristan Da Silva off the board at 22. Yves Missy off the board. Khalil Ware off the board. So there were a few guys there. Terrence Shannon Jr. was the name I brought up a lot. He was there at 22. He went 27 to Minnesota. When we're talking on, we're going to do another podcast tomorrow. When we're talking on there, we're going to be talking about winners and losers like we normally do. We have an 8-year tradition to uphold, for goodness sake. I think Minnesota is going to be on both our boards there. They did a really fun thing where they traded. Okay, I'm getting off topic, Jeremy. And
he's going down that road too soon.
Everyone has some
We're only halfway done
to get. I got another radio show to do tomorrow. You got another web shift to do. I got another podcast to do tomorrow.
Another round.
Bottom line is that guy that everyone wanted them to take at 22 just wasn't there. Yeah. And if you wanted Tyler Kolek, you should have traded down. If you wanted Ryan Dunn, you should have traded down. And they traded down, and they deserve credit for that. With that being said, I don't like the pick. I'll just say it like it is. I am not a fan of the selection. The way that I have phrased it is both a safe bet and a gamble. It's a safe bet because Ryan Dunn in the back half of the first round, early second round, has maybe the best overall skill of anyone selected in there. Him as a defender trumps anyone in that range as a shooter or a passer or a driver or anything like that. Like his one skill is better than anyone else's skill. The shooting resume is pretty ridiculous, and what I mean by that is it's just rare. You never really see someone with his shooting numbers get picked this high in the NBA draft. For context, he made 12 3-pointers over 2 collegiate seasons. 12. He shot 23.5% on his attempts. And the more worrying part, honestly, is the free throw shooting, where he's below 55% on 99 total attempts over 2 years. And then the concerning part beyond that is that when you watch the tape, this is a guy that's hesitating when the ball comes his way, and he just cannot be Landry Shamet. He cannot be earmuffs, Suns fans, Josh Okogie on the short roll in the defining moments of Game 2 on the road in the second round. Like, it's just, it can't happen. And if I watched the stuff and thought that he was a better passer, decision maker, that kind of stuff, I could buy this screening, short roll stuff. He had 35 assists in 55 games for Virginia. So this is a pick where I don't rate it highly. I still see the appeal in it, though, because guess what? If he's shooting 35% from 3 next year, he's probably starting Game 1 of the playoffs for you. Mm-hmm. The first step on defense is insane. Like, we talk about first step as slashers, off the dribble, that kind of stuff. When you watch him and a guy tries to drive left, and how quickly he gets over for how big he is, it's insane. The weak side stuff is tremendous. 77 blocks last year. The defensive profile, again, these are names where you're going to get worried, but think about the defenders these guys were in college if you've really followed the draft prospects. You've got 75 blocks, 40 steals. You got Brandon Clark, Matisse Thybulle, Jordan Bell. Oh, we love Jordan Bell here on this program. Remember KJ McDaniels out of Clemson? Remember that guy?
Him too, also.
And then Trill, Willie Cauley-Stein. Those were 5 tremendous defensive prospects. I think Clark, Thybulle. I think Thybulle made an all-defense team, if I remember correctly, right?
I think so.
That was the year McKell didn't make it, and everyone was mad because Thybulle was like playing 20 minutes a game, and he got it.
Yeah.
But he has got to provide some sort of offensive value, and I think it's easy to say he's going to do it as a screener when the playmaking and decision-making stuff wasn't really there. We did our top 10 boards. Neither of us had him, I believe. Did you have him? No, you didn't, because we brought him up at the very end. You didn't have him top 10 for guys around 22. I didn't have him top 10 around 22. Is it bad value at 28? No, not really. No. That's not what I'm saying, but we have stressed over and over again how important this pick is for them, and to use it on a guy where it is clear as day to see how it could potentially go wrong, that's a little bit of a worry for me. But then again, I do like the fact that they took a bit of a risk with this pick, so I go both ways, but there were still like 3 to 5 guys I would have taken over him on the board. Like, for example, Jamal Shed, Adembona would have been too high for them. I still would have had them ahead of him on a board, but he is you cannot exaggerate how good he is on defense right now. It's crazy, and that is a need that they had for sure.
I'll go 2 different directions on this. One, the example of we know how this could go wrong. Go look at Josh Okogie. Like, I kept saying, and I said this out loud and you finished my sentence, thank you. I was like, is Mike Budenholzer going to, and you said, use him as a screener? It's like, and you asked James this question, and he said, yeah, like, we should be using more people as screeners, basically.
We're going to use everyone as screeners, him included, yeah.
Like, you can get away with a lot more if you find unique ways to use him, but it still doesn't answer. He's like too small to be saying he's going to fit exactly in a small ball unit.
Now, do you have a stretch 5 so you can play him in the dunker spot? Like it's
KD at the 5 is a lot to ask again.
Yeah.
Can you get that stretch 5 right? So if you get a stretch 5, it's a little different. Okay. We heard, and Gambo has reported, that the Suns would like to bring back Okogie, and he has a player option. So it's like, yeah, you're just filling out a roster, so maybe one of those guys wins minutes, but it's a little redundant there. That's not the biggest issue. But yeah, I mean, the shooting is the biggest thing, and we went into this offseason with Bud's intro presser of him talking about shooting is like the big thing they need, and it just doesn't fit with the roster right now. Now, that's being said, like, there's a lot of work to do, and they can do a lot of crazy things or change this roster in ways we can't think of right now. So I'm not going to go hard at them there. But yeah, the shooting is a big issue.
The Gavoni mock on the shooting point had a report a couple days ago where Dunn was incredible in workouts and specifically on defense, but then offensively, teams were impressed with the shooter he is. If you look at his jumper, you are going to be surprised. It looks fine. It doesn't look horrible. It looks like you can form a 35, 38% three-point shooter out of his mechanics.
Yeah.
But that it's just not that simple. And I tried to ask James, because this is clearly something where you get an up-close look at his jumper. It's James freaking Jones, one of the better shooters to come across in the NBA in the last 20 years. He knows a thing or two about what looks good for a jump shot. So I do take solace, actually, in that from a Suns perspective, James Jones is the shot doctor here, ruling that I believe this guy is going to be able to shoot. It's not just, some guy. It's James Jones.
One thing digging around on hoop math is I believe it was 2-point jumpers. Again, you could go look up the volume on that. It was probably super low, but it was like 42%, which like seems pretty low, but actually is not that bad. Now, that being said, that was the most positive thing because, as you said, 3-point shooting was 20% and really low
43 2-point jumpers. He made 42% of them.
Yeah, so that's great. But
he
then
took more 2-point jumpers than threes.
But it's like you're a better 2-point contested pull-up jumper than you are at the free throw line, which he was barely above 50%. Not great. So there's obviously like mental stuff there probably, because if you're that bad of a free throw shooter, like I just believe it's a mental thing at this rate. And that's
I'm scared of Landry Shamet-itis here. I'm scared of, for Suns fans who have been watching the podcast, reading it, or listening to it, my goodness, been a long day, for a long time, you will know how frustrated it made me when Landry Shamet would get a ball rotation sent his way, or he would be in semi-transition and he would take a dribble or two inside the 3-point line, attacking the defense, and then just kind of passing it out, lets the defense reset. Booker has it, and there's 8 seconds left on the shot clock.
Yeah.
Dunn cannot do that, or he's not going to be an NBA player if he does that. Because Shamet was a good enough shooter and good enough in other areas to at least make it work still while he was doing that stuff. Dunn defensively is there, but on offense, again, it's what value can you get out of him offensively? It is not as simple as saying he can just be a small ball 5 and just be a screener. Because again, what teams are going to do is they're going to trap Devin Booker and have the rotation stick on shooters, and they're going to give Ryan Dunn the runway. He is going to get the Josh Okogie pass where he's at the top of the key. All he sees is daylight, and he has to do something. What does he do?
Yeah.
And the good news is, freak athlete.
Yeah.
Freak maybe, but a high-end athlete for sure. He shot 69% at the rim for being a 6'7" forward, which is pretty impressive. Assisted percentage, by the way, 67.4, but I will say really high-level offensive rebounder, so those numbers are a bit padded by that. Over 2 offensive rebounds a game.
Also, if you're going to get an assist probably if you even catch at the 3-point line, take 2 dribbles, he has enough shake and like there's enough there where he gets through contact, gets his hip around guys, knows how to attack a little bit.
For the people who know this stuff, they've said maybe the best cutter in the draft too, one of the best there.
Yeah, he's really good awareness.
So, the cutting being a check, I just need playmaking or decision-making to be another check mark. Like smart 0.5 player, and once we get there, not smart, but decisive. I have no doubt that he's smart when I watch him. It's just the decisiveness. Again, I made the joke at the end of the podcast last time that he's scared to shoot, and that made me so dismissive of him. But that's the whole thing. Like it's not that he can't shoot, it's that he doesn't want to shoot sometimes. And that cannot be a combination together to inspire enough confidence in it. So I'm writing the story right now, and it'll be up by the time you're listening to this. So many times people
this
say
is live, Kellen.
Oh, okay. I forgot, sorry.
Don't say a bad word.
Oh, I really want to now. It's like really like it's just like the don't touch the burning stove, you know? It's like I can say See.
Can he push a button? Can you push a button? No, there's no button to push. Dump.
Jeremy's face palming.
Dump him.
Through the last 2 there's 2 syllables and I used 1. Come on. Okay.
Sorry.
Whatever. Sorry, can't have fun around here anymore.
No fun. Yeah.
No fun zone around here. Not a no flex zone, it's a no fun zone.
No fun zone.
No fun. What was I saying?
I don't know. Do you want me to give you?
Well, no. Okay.
Oh, okay.
There are people who say, "Oh, draft grades, Marquise Chris Drogenbender, you gave an A+, and look at what it turned out to be." I actually think this is one of those situations where I can't grade the pick until I know if he can shoot or not. All the numbers are telling me he can't shoot, so I should give this a D+ or an F, like, to be honest. But I'm going to give the Suns the benefit of the doubt that they saw the jumper, they believe in it, and they believe in the screening stuff, and that he's going to be viable offensively enough to get the defense, which Josh Okogie, I think, is a really good defender, but once he couldn't take the Jamal Murray assignment in the Denver series, I was like, man, that's a thing. Like, that you're here to be that guy.
Yeah.
And then he couldn't do it in that series, and that changed the way I thought about him as a defender, to be honest. But Dunn becomes the primary assignment guy for everyone. Everyone's like, why is Kevin Durant guarding Anthony Edwards? Who else is guarding Anthony Edwards? Who else is presenting length, a little bit of quickness? Like, who is bringing that combination there? It's no one. Kevin had to do it.
You can move him from De'Aaron Fox to Anthony Edwards
To LeBron James, to Kawhi Leonard, yeah.
Paul George, yeah.
Brandon Ingram. He can go really up and down. The first step is really that crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm extremely excited. You talk about looking forward to watching someone. I cannot wait to watch him play defense. Can't wait.
I will say assuming there's some offensive stuff we're going to get better at, he's going to get better at. To me, like, just first watching him as an athlete, I got Sean Marion vibes with his quick twitch and second jump and that kind of thing. Now, the production was not there, even in the rebounding. Like, go look at UNLV numbers of Sean Marion. He was super productive, obviously different conference, not ACC stuff. But he just pops, and you see it on offense too. Transition, just jumping passing lanes, jumping on ball handlers, and then again the cutting was a big thing because once he's getting toward the rim, like, he's super explosive. He gets up fast, and that's like a very unique thing that Sean Marion again was unique about. Like, there are guys like Vince Carter who could jump and hang and all that stuff, but like, he's at the rim in a flash when he cuts, and that's super unique. But yeah, I mean, I just want to see that stuff. I think the defense is going to translate immediately. I will say also, when we go back to the offense, Damon Allred, our draft guru, did bring up, if you know anything about Tony Bennett and Virginia, their offense is historically very bad. Just
unwatchable, dare I say it.
Yeah, their offense is just bad. It's
the ecosystem is not friendly to him.
It's not friendly. So what they were asking him to do, I don't know. Go watch the tape. It's limited. He was around other limited people. And then that translates to numbers too when the pace is that slow. I will say though, like, that defense, he's known, Tony Bennett, pack line defense is man-to-man. It's a lot of help side stuff, and the principles are basically you're forming a wall all the way around, and there's a lot of help. So him off the ball, that's why he was so good at the blocks and stuff, and the stealing is a lot of off the ball stuff. And that's like, if you're playing in that defense, you're probably trustworthy and very aware as a help defender. And so I think that's the thing too we should bring up, is it's not just like on the ball you can be a stopper. It's like you're going to be trusted, and you're going to cause big problems when you're on the other side of the court, and when you're that good of an athlete on the other side of the court. There's a lot of value in that.
Yeah, and the Virginia offense is another good point on the screening and playmaking thing that I was talking about, because I'm imagining that when he was getting a runway with the ball, there wasn't a ton of space around him. Like I said, it's going to be Moses parting the seas. He's going to have a whole lot of room to make that decision. So you hope with the extra space that he's going to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say. I'm not a fan of the pick, but I'm not going to sit here slamming on it and wondering why they did this. It makes a ton of sense.
Again, it's 28 too.
It makes a ton of sense. It's late in the first round. It's a perfectly acceptable pick at 28, but it's just the context of how important this pick is to them, and getting more of a safe bet here with skills. Multiple skills, I think that's the thing. Beyond the defense, I just don't know what the other thing is for him.
If you are aggressively using him as a screener, it will deter people blitzing Kevin Durant and Devin Booker to some degree, because they're just like, I'm dumping into that guy, because if you make help defenses try to stop him heading to the rim, good luck. Yeah. Like that's going to be fun to watch.
Matisse Thybulle comes to mind as a comp. I looked up his college numbers. He took over 353s in college and made 36% of them, and he shot 78 from the line, and he's a non-shooter, treated like such in the league.
Yeah.
His numbers have been in the mid-30s with Portland, but the whole point is they just leave him open anyway.
Yeah.
They are going to leave this kid open all day. He is going to have space every time, and he's just going to have to do something with it. And again, if the numbers were in the low 30s, or if we saw more confidence with him when he has space, I'd be down with this pick. Just not so down with it right now. But if we're here 8 games in and we see the confidence with the jumper and we don't see any stuff, it'll be a really quick turnaround for me specifically on the pick, but not nearly a decision worth like heavy criticism. But at the same time, I'll tell y'all how I feel about it.
We have questions. That's okay.
Just notes, just a couple of notes. But again, if this was a pick by, why can't I think of like a random GM across the league? Like who's another random?
Whoever the Wizards.
Tim Connolly. Tim Connolly. How's his How's his jumper looking? You know what I mean? I know what James Jones's jumper is, and I know that if there's a GM that can identify a potential shooter in the entire league, it would be James Jones. I'm not willing to. That sounds ridiculous in some ways, but I don't think it's ridiculous to say that. All right, man. Go ahead.
I have to do it? Oh, did you hear about the Kevin Durant stuff this morning? Oh, God.
You want me to? I can do it, but
there were murmurs.
Okay.
Murmurs.
Mikal Bridges got traded to the Brooklyn Nets.
We should start there.
Actually, he got traded to the Brooklyn Nets a while ago. Excuse me. He got traded to the New York Knicks. The result of this was Brooklyn getting blown away by the offer and realizing, well, the only problem is we're going to be terrible next year now. We're already going to be pretty bad. Now we're for sure going to be terrible. We need our pick back. We need that swap gone. They call up Houston. Houston's like, yo, that's fine. Just give us the Phoenix stuff. And they're like, all right, man, here you go. Here's the Phoenix stuff. Again, remember how this happened. Brooklyn contacted Houston. It's not like Houston was. Okay. Houston now has the Phoenix picks, and they now have even more draft ammunition to use to go acquire a really good player. There was a report, or whatever you want to call it, from Jonathan Givony in his mock drafts a couple days ago. He randomly named Kevin Durant as a player that Houston could look to target in trading. He also named Brandon Ingram and Trae Young and all these guys we've been talking about. Kevin Durant got looped in there. This was not new information all of a sudden. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski goes on to report that Houston has interest in Kevin Durant, and part of the reason why Houston went and got these picks is to potentially attract the Suns in a Kevin Durant proposal, a hypothetical. Again, remember the Phoenix Suns, who had a 2,500-word feature written about them for how much they don't care about the draft, basically. The GM of the team then is the GM of the team now.
Who has an owner who cares even less.
The owner was on the clock for a week and traded like the entire draft pool left that he could trade. Regardless of that gap in logic, this leads to, okay, why is this out there? And then Woj's reporting in that one tweet indicates that the Suns are good with Durant. They're not moving Durant for now. They want to move forward, but that could change next season. That part is confusing because are you reporting that can change next season? Are you just speculating? Is someone from the Rockets speculating? Is someone from another front office speculating? Or have you heard from the Suns that, yeah, we're fine with Kevin right now, but who knows what next season looks like, you know? That part's unclear. Woj probably gets a lot of texts from a lot of pissed off people from the Suns, and shortly thereafter issues another tweet clarifying that the Suns are pretty much going to run it back next year. Like, that's pretty much what he says. Again, goes with the Houston thing. This is why it would make sense. Yada, yada. In the morning, Stephen A. Smith reports. Think about the 4 words that I just said. 3 words in a letter. Stephen A. Smith reports
is it
that Kevin Durant wants out of Phoenix. Is that what he said? He wants out of Phoenix?
What was it? No, it's Phoenix wants to
wants to get rid of Kevin Durant. Then he adds, but Houston doesn't want Kevin Durant. They're more interested in Devin Booker. And by the way, Woj's reporting last night included Devin Booker. And again, this is you're just standing around and you're catching strays, and the Suns are like, why are we getting mentioned? Why are we the team that you're hypothetically using when you could be talking about Atlanta or Cleveland or New Orleans or any of these other teams that potentially have big players to move? It's the Suns and Devin Booker of all people. It's confusing. Brian Windhorst reports that keep an eye on Houston in the draft. If they take Donovan Clingan at 3, all of a sudden Alperen Şengün becomes tradable now. What if the Suns want Alperen Şengün? If they do a trade, maybe they would want Alperen Şengün. This leads Matt Ishbia, a low-key content reader. He once basically had a press conference to shut down narratives. Like that's what that press conference was, right? Am I crazy?
Yeah.
It was just shutting down the narrative that they're screwed. The Ringer article that said the Phoenix Suns are screwed.
Because they didn't have a coaching decision yet, so it was for something. It must have been for that, yeah.
I don't know why it happened, but that was my best guess at why that happened.
That was the one James said, yeah.
Matt Ishbia tweets that Suns love Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant loves being in Phoenix. They're good. They're going to run it back. All this kind of stuff. Our own John Gambadoro is quote tweeting all this stuff and calling it nonsense. I'm trying to make myself laugh by tweeting about weird Olivia Cook and new apartment stuff. I didn't get a new apartment. Okay. Just to entertain myself because all of this is just ridiculous to me. And Shams Charania reports shortly before the draft, there's a 0% chance Kevin Durant is getting traded this summer, but it requires Matt Ishbia to tweet, requires Shams Charania to report that. It requires James Jones to answer multiple questions about Kevin Durant tonight.
Did it require your job to change during the day when you hosted the show with Dave Burns?
Sort of, but I thought we found good ways to talk about it, including our conspiracy theory that this really boring draft that no one wanted to watch now had a bunch of cool lower third chyrons the morning of. Where did all these reports come from, by the way?
ESPN.
Oh.
Is that where the draft was? Is that what you're saying?
I believe it like 40%.
I believe the Houston Rockets want somebody. I believe the Houston Rockets are looking 2 years down the road. Sure. I believe that years down the road, the Suns will no longer want Kevin Durant. I report that now. I'm reporting now that the Suns do not want Kevin Durant on their team in years down the road. True. Do you think I'll be wrong? I doubt it. I don't think he'll retire here. Your point is, like, we're looking 10 steps down the road for.
There was a useless 24 hours news cycle. This is like the 5th one already in this Suns off season, and I'm sick and tired of it. And the fact that our reporting in our sport has become this is embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. We just need. Look, you can report that the Houston Rockets are looking around. Mm-hmm. They're looking to build up ammo. That's fine. They're looking at other superstars. You can write kind of like what Cavoni did that. Yeah. Possible superstars on the move include this, this, and this. What you can't do is include the freaking superstar who the GM said on the record a month prior is not going anywhere. He's already been asked about it and shut it down. It's ridiculous.
Can't be that big because it needs to be, these are the superstars on the market. They want one. Kevin Durant might be that guy even after a year because, again, this is extension talk time. And by the way, Matt Ishbia put that out there. One, you could say it's for leverage. If they have any 1% thought of maybe we would take the biggest trade in NBA history to trade Kevin Durant, like, you have leverage there. But also, like, Kevin Durant's up for an extension, and you want to keep things good with him. You want to keep things good with him whether he was up for an extension or not. So there was reason he had to go shut it down. I honestly, like, Wendy was out there saying stuff. I don't remember exactly what. Woj was sloppy with his tweets because you can't put that into breaking news about picks and reasons why. By the way, this is an aside. Why does it matter that the Suns would want draft picks that are their own? Like, they should.
2 picks, by the way, not 3. They kept saying 3 first-round picks. It's a 2025 swap. The Rockets will not have more wins than the Suns. They should want
the Washington Wizards first-round picks,
yes,
not their own. Like, why does their picks back matter? That didn't make sense to me at all. Because I think that was
Devin Booker and a bunch of mediocre talent is still winning 40-plus games, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And that if that's the roster in 2027, you're still only getting a pick in, like, the mid-teens.
Yeah.
It's not a gold mine. The 29 pick is the interesting one, but that comes with caveats.
And then, I don't know, Stephen A. hasn't reported anything legit in... I don't even know the last time. That was
great.
The weird one.
If someone proves themselves as a reputable reporter, great. I'm with you. But I mean, we had other stuff going on tonight where people are firing the trigger when they have wrong information. Just slow down. Stop. It's okay. You do not have to be right. Seeing your impressions number be 5.3 million, that must be so cool. I'm never going to know what it's like, and I don't care. Are you glad we talked about this?
You formulated it in your head much better than I tried to explain it. Look, to wrap that discussion, that's super fun. Like, I just don't. I kind of get the trade rumor, and I do. Again, I get it from the Houston Rockets perspective because they want someone good. I would not be surprised if they went and got Ingram or something like that in the next few weeks or whatever. But yeah, it's just, are we making assumptions because of Kevin Durant's history. Booker's stuff didn't make sense in there at all because he's under contract for a long time. I guess, again, it's from Houston's perspective. I will say, not to completely devalue Woj and say he's wrong or whatever.
Not saying that. It's just it was just irresponsible reporting, in my opinion, because he has to. He knows what that does. He knows the news cycle that it creates by that tweet.
Yeah.
If that tweet never happens, we're never talking about this. Stephen A. Smith doesn't go on First Take and say, "I've heard that the Suns won away from Kevin Durant."
I'm just curious, like, the conversation to get into reporty stuff of, like, did Houston just, whoever, hey, this is what you can go with. He copies and pastes it, make sure it's grammatical, whatever. Or did they say, hey, we really want to get the Suns' attention. Woj, what's the biggest flag you can wave to get the Suns' attention? We would like to talk trade with you. Hello, 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 hello.
Yeah.
Because that's honestly what it was. And, like, I think there's legit truth, and that's fascinating to me.
There was just a way to get the facts of the reporting out there in a much better way, but we're going so fast because we have to be first and right. Oh, wait, first and not right. Sorry.
He didn't think about that. Yeah.
That up. My bad. It's frustrated me for a long time. I'm glad I got the opportunity to speak on it. I'm not picking on anyone specifically. I'm not picking on Woj specifically. I'm not picking on Stephen A. Smith specifically. This is a gosh darn epidemic that has been around.
See, it's worse. It's worse when you talk about this being on, like, hard news. This is just basketball, but it's a problem in journalism if we want to go down that road.
Well, it puts us in a tricky spot because I don't want to talk about it right now because it's not a real thing. But we have to talk about it because everyone's talking about it, and James Jones has to talk about it. Like, it becomes an unavoidable thing.
Yeah.
So,
do you have any things you want to talk about now before we get going?
No, because it's past 10 p.m. and we still have some work to do before we leave, and we're going to be back tomorrow. The Suns pick at 56. Check out ArizonaSports.com. We will shortly have targets, guys who you want to see slip, that kind of stuff. And then I think that'll be it. We'll have quotes from James Jones and stories tonight. If you want to read James Jones saying Kevin Durant isn't going anywhere for the 5th time, then it'll be up on the site too.
Quick. Who do you hope falls to 56?
Shed is the obvious answer. Bona's not going to fall that far. I like Kashad.
Okay. I don't know why Danny Shapiro's just staring at us through the...
Why is he here still?
I don't know. He's now hiding behind the pillar. Okay. Live.
Who do you want? Pella?
I'd accept it, yeah. That's realistic.
Jalen Bridges.
I kind of want a point guard, but...
Jalen Bridges out of Baylor. Yeah, that's the thing is, do you just double up on wings? It's never a bad idea to double up on wings.
Pella's a little redundant with the guy you just got, Grayson Allen.
For the love of everything, I hope that we are sitting here talking about someone that the Suns have signed on a 2-way contract tomorrow. I'm hoping for all Suns fans listening, I'm really hoping that we see that breakthrough of getting in on that market, the best undrafted free agents. A lot of rotation players have come out of there. You know, a G League team for that guy to play on. And that guy at 56 as well is probably going to spend some time down there. So,
well, at least someone other than ASU is going to be using Mold Arena. Got my Coyotes shot in, all right?
Yeah. No, I'm good.
All right.
I know, Jeremy, we're live. You have to click the button now that we're done. Bye, everyone. See you later. See you.